Book 2, Chapter 9, Reaping, of Hard Times, is called Hearing the Last of It. Mrs. Sparsit remains at the country house, doing a lot of prowling about, and she becomes friendly with James Harthouse, whom she likes because of his status and charm. She continues to call Louisa Miss Gradgrind, not Mrs. Bounderby, but claims it's just force of habit. On the second morning of her stay, she finds Mr. Bounderby does not yet have his breakfast and offers to prepare it as Louisa comes downstairs. Mr. Bounderby says Louisa will be very glad to be relieved of the trouble. Mrs. Sparsit chides him for being unkind to Louisa, but Louisa is not bothered by the remarks, even though her conversation with Bounderby remains tense, and they briefly squabble. Mrs. Sparsit serves breakfast and is cordial to Mr. Bounderby until he leaves. Then she shakes her fist at his portrait and calls him, "You noodle!" Soon after breakfast, Bitzer arrives to tell Louisa her mother is ill. Thinking unhappily about her childhood and reflecting on the emotional distance from her mother and family, Louisa returns to her father's home in Coketown to see her dying mother. Mrs. Gradgrind tells Louisa she believes Mr. Gradgrind's studies have missed something important that she cannot name. She asks for a pen to write to him. Unable to hold a pen, she imagines she's writing. But the hand stops, and so does all her other movement, because Mrs. Gradgrind dies. Mrs. Gradgrind appears occasionally in Book 1 to scold her children. She lacks Mr. Gradgrind's comprehensive command of facts, but endorses his parenting and teaching philosophy, so she leaves him to it. On her deathbed, however, she displays extraordinary powers of perception about her husband and her daughter. Perhaps she has known all along something was amiss in their lives. Louisa is not particularly bothered by the marriage squabble itself, but the quarrel does reflect the general discontent of her loveless marriage.